Hey everybody, we are back with a painting stream and I'm getting the music going. It was a little bit slow, so here we are. There we are. Perfect. Now that we got that going, we are back painting, and today I'm continuing work on Commander Sol-ath. Bring that in close. Hopefully it'll do a little focus. There we go. I'm continuing to work on this handsome fella. The last time I was working on him, I was able to get a little bit of the armor work done and start working on some leather pieces. Got a long ways to go. We are also currently printing, and they're almost done, some Christmas trees? I think they're Christmas trees. They're supposed to be Christmas trees. So we are printing a couple of Christmas trees in our printers right now, and they are almost done. We were trying to get them done sooner, but funny story about 3D printing and one of the perils that you can come across with 3D printing. The slicing software, and slicing is what you need to do to a 3D print to create the layers or slices that it prints in, got a major update, and it completely changed everything. And it screwed up all of my settings and threw everything off, so I had to figure that out. And that is what we are currently dealing with. So that slowed us down a little bit, but I did eventually figure it out. Finally, smooth over all the details earlier today, and we got them printing. This is about I think it's about a 2.5 hour print. So they've been going for a little while, and I'm hoping that we will be able to show them off, put them together, and let you guys see them. So I might actually do a little quick priming down here and show them off, because these should be pretty fun. They are kind of puzzle pieces for Christmas. But until those are ready, I'm going to be working on this guy. And let's see. So I've been working on the armor, and I was in the middle of working on some leather pieces. Now, I've seen this leather turn out pretty nice after it's been washed with a dark wash, an umber wash. It gets that nice sort of dirty, faded, beat-up, used leather look. So I'm doing the belt. I have some belt work to do. I'm not 100% certain what I want to do with the pants. Maybe I'll just sort of mirror the armor he's got going on. Yeah. I think I'm going to kind of mirror the armor he's got going on. Because on this side, he's got some orange armor on his leg. And parts of that are mechanical, parts of that are just armor pieces. So I think I might mirror some of the armor effect from over here. So this bit here, that top portion, that is armor on Sol-ath. I think I'm going to mirror that over here. Now it's got some plate ridging in the print, and I can see some in here too. So that should work. One thing that these models have, and it's really hard to see on camera, but you can see that very faint line just below his hip. There's some ridging there. And we are going to use that to make it appear much more like armor. We're going to leave a gap there between the colors so that we can fill it with a darker color, and then a wash, and that wash will seep down in there and give it a real nice plate effect. I still need to figure out what I want to do underneath the armor. Oh, leather, maybe cloth? Some cloth pieces? Because there's some parts that are not armored, like his butt. And you won't really see this very much. You can look under here, and there's stuff to paint there. So... oh, maybe he's got blue jeans. Sol-ath strikes me as kind of a blue jeans kind of guy. I can give him some, like, dirtied up blue jeans. I like that. I like the dirtied up blue jeans effect. Okay. So let me get my copper out. And let's get decent brush. I'm gonna use... I like this brush today. Give the copper a good shake. Oh, I just realized I don't have cleaning water. I'm gonna go get some cleaning water to clean my brushes in. I'll be right back. Excuse me. Got some cleaning water now. And a fresh cloth to wipe off the brush with. And let's get another cup. Drop the paint in. I got. Oops, I'm going to clean up the top. Get rid of the gunk. Put a little dab of copper in here. You really don't need much at all with this copper. And we're gonna find some armor in here and paint that. And then we'll give him some blue jeans. That and finish his belt, I suppose. I'll finish his belt today. Alright. So let's start with that spot right there. And go there, and then I'm gonna wipe some of this off. So I don't want it to be too thick. And there's really not a lot of space here. There we go. And that's pretty good. I'm trying to get the top. This is pretty delicate. Don't want to do too much. I prefer not to have all that much cleanup later, but inevitably with painting you will have cleanup to do later. You just can't avoid it. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. And now let's do some of this front piece here. Need a dab more of the copper. I'm going to try to create a similar effect to the other side. Well, I'm going to have to clean that up later. A little bit of the copper glob onto the turquoise? Yeah, the turquoise that we've got. his belt buckle bobbed over a little bit, so I'm gonna have to work on that. But otherwise, I mean, this is going on pretty well. I'm happy that it's not really fighting me very much. And there's just the faintest gap here I was talking about. And this will happen with a lot of model printing. When these models are being printed, it's imprecise in many ways. And sometimes details get lost within the model making and painting. So when these are from Hero Forge. When you're making your hero in Hero Forge and you're like, oh man, there's so much cool little details and things. When you order them and go to paint them, there's going to be some fidelity loss from the digital rendering to the actual print. And it doesn't matter how much you pay. I want to be pretty clear for folks with that. You can you can buy the most expensive material that they have on their site, which is a brass. You can have that printed in brass. And I have done that. I have a couple characters in brass. Hello. Just dropping off some coffee. Thank you. I have a couple characters that are done in brass, and they are very high detail. They're very nice looking, but they are, they still suffer from the fidelity loss. So when you get those custom printed ones, they're not going to be perfect. So don't be too upset when you get them. Just know that's kind of what it is going in.
Just clearing some room for you.
Oh. Well, thanks. Alright. Yeah, I'm liking that look. That's pretty good. I decided to give him matching armor pieces over
On
here.
my upper.
Yeah. Because, I don't know, Sol-ath seems like one of those, like, subtly stylish. And I decided that I'm going to give him some blue jeans.
Blue jeans, huh? Yeah, he's that kind of guy.
Yeah, he gets out in the field. He's seeing a lot of action. He's going to get this armor on and off. Something that holds up.
Mm-hmm.
Why not blue jeans? I mean, we have basically nuclear steampunk technology in my world. Why not blue jeans? I don't care if it's a bit anachronistic to some of the other technologies. When magic is around, whatever.
There you go.
Debating what the best color for the blue jeans will be when I get there. And I was thinking I might do this medium blue.
Medium blue.
Because everything down here especially is going to get a wash.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this will look both faded and tarnished.
Yeah, I
do
that with a wash.
That's what I was thinking.
Missed part of one of these in my...
You missed a part. Oh, you did. you did.
Inside of the pillar there. I just completely
noticed. Earlier I was talking about how getting and painting up here in the, like, behind the cape.
Yeah, never give your character a cape.
Yeah, that's a pro tip. Capes look cool.
Like the Incredibles, it's like, no capes!
Yeah, go with the Incredibles rule. No capes. Because, and I'll show everyone this, man, does that cape look cool? Like, oh, dashing. Oh, look at that. But you have to paint under there? That's not going to be fun.
No.
I'm going to check on these prints because they just finished. So let's see how they came out.
I was starting the green beans. I'll pop up in a little bit. Getting the pre-cut on the green beans.
Oh, hey. I think this is going to be kind of fun. Alright. Here's what's printed. It's a little hard to make out, so I'm using the light to reflect on the pieces. So these are a little bit of a puzzle. Not a very complicated one, admittedly. I'm not sure why the original designer don't have the design credit right here. When we post this on YouTube, I'm going to put the design credit up so you can go download it. They put a whole bunch of brackets so you can like punch them out. For our printing style, it's really, strictly speaking, not necessary.
It's like the old, it's like an old model.
But it's like an old model, exactly. So it may just be for decorative fun in the model, which is always a-okay. And this model, in particular, has a couple of really fun parts to it. It actually has a customizer, so you can put little messages in here and randomize the tree shape, I think is what I saw. I just went with the basic model when we were making this. But once I saw these, I thought they were just a riot and would be a lot of fun to put together. Some of the comments on the model that can be found in Thingiverse, they said that you needed some glue to put these together.
To hold it.
Yeah, and I could see that. So I might mix together some 5-minute epoxy after I figure out how all of this stuff comes together. I think your approach is a little bit better than mine was.
What was the difference?
You just ripped them off of the raft. Now, I did try to print these without a raft, but I keep finding that with our particular printers,
the raft helps a lot.
The raft really helps pull everything together and keep the bed adhesion high. Bed adhesion meaning the filament, as it's being printed, sticks to the bed surface. Okay. We're going to assemble this together. Oh yeah, I can see it needs a little glue to hold that. Bottom one's the big one.
So you do this.
Yeah, this definitely does need a little glue to hold it together. But once it's all together,
it's pretty cute.
That's what you get. And they actually have a little ring hole in it, so you can make these
ornament
into ornaments.
I like that. That's very cute.
Okay. I am gonna hold off working on him. I'm gonna rinse out this cup so that it doesn't get paint in it. I'm gonna start working on these, because this is what I was really hoping to work on today. Making some Christmas trees. They will be a little bit of a pain to glue together, I think, because there's so many pieces that can slide down.
Well, I would glue the core together.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, cute little Christmas trees. And I am prepping, we do dinner on Christmas Eve, so that's what I'm working on right now.
Where did... There they are. Sitting right there.
Do you need a hand?
I think I should be able to manage this.
Was there a problem with these ones?
Oh, no. I was just taking them out to take pictures. We have been uploading all of the past recordings that we have. Not our recordings only go back to August is when they go back to. So I've been uploading all of those recordings up onto YouTube, and that means that I've been taking out some of the models that we've painted, using them in the thumbnails.
I'm gonna go check on dinner.
I am gonna mix glue. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay. Do I have any mixing elements down here? I don't have any good mixing elements right now. I wish I had some toothpicks, but I don't have any toothpicks. So, what I'm gonna do is break off, put some Q-tips down, I'm gonna break off the cotton swab head, and I'm just gonna use the end of the cotton swab and mix these together. Gluing on your own is a little bit more technical than gluing together with someone, and generally speaking, I think it is better to have a hand while you're doing this. Now, because this can move side to side and kind of shift, you can see how this is shifting here. Wobble. I think I'm going to take this piece, the base, and actually use it to hold everything together while I'm gluing it. Yeah. Okay. Right. Get some. Isopropyl alcohol. That's what I'm getting. Because when you're working with adhesives, you generally don't want to glue your fingers together. It's good to have like a little dabbing cloth. So what we are using are 5-minute quick epoxies. There are 2 parts. And this one, the red bottle, is what's called the hardener. It shows up as orange on the camera, but it is a red bottle. So you keep these 2 separate, and when you mix them together, it starts a curing process. And that's why they come in separate bottles. These are both getting sort of low. And in general, I don't like to make a whole lot of this stuff at once. For a couple reasons. One, it is 5-minute epoxy, so it It sets very quickly. And 2, that reduces waste. Okay, so here's the process. I've gotten 2 little globules next to each other, and now you got to mix them together. And that will start the hardening process. So now that 5 minutes, that 5 minutes just became how long we have to work on this. So I am taking the epoxy and I'm sort of painting it up along the edges of this model. And I'm not being too careful here. When we're working with some of the models we use for the set, like the dungeon tiles that we were painting on Tuesday, you sort of carefully apply epoxy because you don't want it showing around the edges. Yeah, they're supposed to be sort of cosmetic pieces that add to the thrill of the adventure for the adventurers. And you don't need big globs of epoxy just hanging out. But on this one, I'm gonna actually take kind of a slather it all together approach, so that there's a lot of surface that's binding and it gets a decent hold, because these gaps are fairly wide on these trees. So I think more of a slathering approach. Very technical, incredibly technical work here. Okay. Very good. We'll call that done. And I'm going to move it back here. I'm going to let that set. So, 5 minutes, that'll set. Probably better to wait just 10 minutes in case that decides to set in the meantime. And I'm just doing it. Fixing something on the computer real quick. Okay. There we go. Now we're going to do that same thing again. Look at me forgetting exactly how loose all these things are held together. Okay. There we go. So I'm getting my hardener and the epoxy out. I'm going to mix them together again. Let gravity help. They're both getting pretty low. We don't have all that much left, and actually I've been overusing the hardener a little bit compared to the epoxy itself. At the end of this, there is more epoxy than there is hardener, so we haven't been super accurate about how we've been mixing these. Probably could have done that better. Alright. That seems like about the same amount that we did the first one, and that worked out pretty well. Ooh, boy. Hardener stinks, by the way. Dropped him. Hang on. Okay, now mixing those two together again. Good mix. It's like I should have enough. And going with the same approach here. Liberal application of epoxy. Let's get it up the seams here. Going all around the base. Yeah, this should hold pretty well. Little glue on my fingertips, so use my dabbing cloth of isopropyl alcohol. Clean off the solvent. Or to use as a solvent to clean up the glue is what I mean. And yeah, nice big glob. Perfect. Now, I always recommend using easily disposable materials when you are putting epoxy together, because you ain't gonna keep it. Okay. That looks alright. I'm gonna set this down over here. Flatten it out. And those are gonna cure. Now, in the meantime, I think I have a little bit of they might not have any primer today. Let me shoot a message up to Nicole, because she might actually be able to fix that. She might have some primer somewhere. So, hang on a moment while I sign in. And shoot her a message. Okay. Back. So, those are primed. They're waiting. They need to set. Before we do anything else, I want to prime these pieces. And we will do them all without having attached them to the tree. And then I'm going to prime the tree itself once the epoxy is set. And then after these are primed, we're going to paint them green. And then we'll slide them in and glue the rest of these in place. Okay. Now what green do I want to use once we figure out if we actually have armor? We have a couple options of this deep green. We also have this flat green. So this here, this is the deep green. And this camera never quite replicates colors perfectly. That's a pretty dark color down there. And this is the flat green, which looks... Flat green, you know, it's not dry, so it's not perfect. And representing how it actually looks. The flat green seems more pukey? Huh. Seems more pukey. So I think I'm gonna go with the deep green. Deep green seems better. There is, whoa! This is dark, really vibrant. I'm gonna check this one out. I'm gonna check these two out. That one seemed too pukey. Too much. So I'm gonna shake these up and see what we can do. Okay. I'm gonna grab this brush and just take a little, and I'm just gonna make a little sample. Wow, that is very green. Ooh, that might be the winner. Put that. Get that one out of the brush. Okay. That was the deep green. And this is dark green. So it's like pretty vibrant. It's got this, it almost, you know what it looks like? The like injection mold plastic army men. That's what it looks like. When I was a kid, my dad, the army men made me think of this. My dad introduced my brother and I to a game that he and his brother would play with the same sort of plastic toy army men, just injection mold stuff, right? And it was a game where you spread out on the floor and you'd pick, like, okay, this is my corner of the room, this is my half of the room, and you'd take however many army men you had and you'd divide them up equally between however many players you had. So, that could be 2. Because there were 3 of us, we often divided it by 3, which meant we usually had, you know, 1 or 2 just kind of sitting around. Because they always give you an even number for some reason. So, we would take the army men, and we would stand them up. This is, like I said, a game that my dad taught us. We'd stand them up. And we would take whatever pieces of paper we had, like scrap paper. Had to be a full sheet, that was kind of the rule. Had to be a full sheet of paper. We'd take scrap paper and we'd ball it up. And then we would throw at each other's army men setups and try to knock them down. So you'd never put them too close together, you can spread them out and see if you could be the last one standing. So you'd look, lobbing these little paper balls across the room, trying to knock down army men. And the first time you play, you just like set them up, and they're pretty easy to knock down. Then he started to get tricky and turn into a jerk about it. So we would do things like kind of embed him in the grains of the carpet and wedge him in there, so it would never really fall over until we got to the point where it wouldn't fall over even from a direct hit from a little wadded up paper ball. And we had to make a house rule that you can't do that. That got easier once we took the carpet out and put some laminate floor in. But you would hide them behind things too. So you would hide them, like if there was a book or something in your corner, you couldn't move the book. You could hide the army guy behind the book, as long as there was still a way that the ball could hit it. They had to be visible still, and still be theoretically knocked down. And it was fun. We played that game for years together. It was a great way to pass a couple hours. Alright, that epoxy must be getting near set. So, they're really close colors. I'm going to show you this here. This one's the deep green. That one that my thumb is next to. And that's the dark green, as it's mostly dry. Very, very close. I think I'm going to go with the dark green. It's a really rich color, whereas the deep green, I don't know. The deep green seems more real. The dark green, you know how they paint Christmas trees when you buy them? To make them like super green? That's what that color is like. We never do the painted trees here. So I'm gonna get the, I'm gonna go with deep green. But I still don't have any primer. Okay, here's the first one. Oh yeah, that's pretty firm. That's pretty well set. Okay. Here's the result. You can see plenty of glommed on mess here. But that's pretty firm now. Let's check the other one. Also good. Also good. Perfect. Alright. Nicole thinks she knows where we've got some primer, but I wanted to double check that it is, because I'm the one usually doing this stuff, so I don't want to screw any of it up. But once we prime, then we should be able to paint these guys. So while we're waiting for Nicole to come down and see if the bottle we have is actually primer, I'm going to jump back to Commander Sol-ath. Alright, let's... So there's kind of a ridge there. Maybe I'll do that in... I think that should be a metal piece. I'm gonna find some metal. Maybe I'll... Okay. Is it?
It should be fine.
Okay. Perfect. And I'm gonna run up and find these.
So what green are you doing?
After testing them, what I said to the viewers, this one here, this is the deep green. And this one here, and they're almost identical, this is the dark green. And between the two...
You don't want to go with like a brighter?
They looked pukey to me.
What about sick green?
Yeah, again, pukey. But what I said was...
Which is funny, because that's what Uss's armor is.
It works on him. this color here, that looks like a real pine tree. This looks like the color of a painted pine tree.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go with this one.
Well, it's ill-advised, but you could just spray them down here quick since there's only a couple pieces.
Yeah, I don't want to inhale those fumes.
It's pretty bad for you.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So I'm going to run up and paint these real quick. And you can criticize stuff if you want. Or not
Well,
stuff.
criticize all stuff.
You can criticize my work so far on Sol-ath. I'll be right back, folks.
Just taking a look at Sol-ath here. I think he's looking pretty nice, starting to come in. I'm sure Alexis is expecting me to badmouth him, but I think it's a good start, and he'll really start coming to life as we fill in the rest of the colors on him. Meanwhile, I need to remember to order about 1 million gallons of neutral gray so I can get through this huge dungeon set. But it looks like the Christmas tree's coming along alright, which is kind of fun. So, I hope everyone's having a good Christmas Eve so far. We're trying to do small, carefully coordinated get-togethers with people who aren't, who are fully vaccinated and aren't showing any signs of sickness, things like that. I hope everyone else is staying safe as well this Christmas. Yeah. So, just filling in the time. I've been prepping our Christmas. My family does Christmas stuff on Christmas Eve. Not Christmas Day. We tend to do a Christmas Eve dinner and open presents and all that on Christmas Eve. And then Christmas Day is pretty much just a rest and relax day. Do some presents in the morning, or we have a lot of Polish in our family, so we do kielbasa and not sauerkraut, horseradish for breakfast, which Lexi hates the horseradish part, but it goes on rye, so I like it a lot. How is it?
Good. They are
Drying?
drying. Right.
Ah, yes. The wonderful smell of canned primer.
Yeah.
Did you get both sides?
Yeah, I did.
Nice.
At least as good as I can.
Yeah.
It
It doesn't need to be perfect with primer.
No. No, it doesn't. So these are drying. Those would be just a minute.
Yeah, that primer dries pretty quick. So
Yeah, it does.
that's nice.
And I think I'll just keep the glove on, actually, because then I can handle that and not get a whole bunch of paint on my hand.
Are you just doing green? Are you gonna do like brown on the center?
I was gonna do brown in the center, and I hadn't picked out a trunk color yet. So while that's drying, we can pick out a good trunk color.
I'd go maybe lighter so it stands out against the dark green.
That's a good idea. Something. What color is this? This is a flat earth.
Or
That's
dark sand, which is even lighter.
I think that might be a little too light.
We're out of red brown, as you learned.
Yeah, we are. We need to order some red brown.
Yeah, and a lot of neutral brown.
Yeah, I think if we can find that, it would be, given the quantity, it would be good if we can find it in an airbrush.
Yeah, I don't know if Tamiya makes airbrush, but you want to make sure it's the same gray.
Or at least pretty damn close.
Yeah.
Because there is natural variation in stone color.
No, it's not.
So I'm not that worried
Every
about it.
rock I've seen has looked identical.
I don't think that's true. Realistically speaking, I don't think that's true at all.
Unrealistically speaking, it is.
Okay.
Alright.
Are you enjoying watching the rest of Spirit of Christmas up there?
Oh, I finished a while ago.
Yeah. Did you enjoy watching the rest of it?
I was a nail biter. I wasn't sure if he was going to come back.
If you've never seen the 2016 film Spirit of Christmas, I would recommend that you do so.
If you're a weirdo, I love you.
Me too. All right. We don't need to be very delicate with these models, so let's find a nice I think this will be a good brush here. Fairly wide, flat brush head.
I recommend the yellow. That one. Yep.
Yeah. Alright. And sorry, I am trying to pull up Twitch because I'm not getting an update on who's watching. Like, all of my windows have frozen. So I am pulling up. There we go. There we go. Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. There's actually far more people. Yeah, I'll turn the sound off. Far more people here hanging out, including someone by the name of Feet. Hello, Feet. I wonder if that is the official count of Ariel. Alright. I'm going to start with the brown. Get in here. I think that's a pretty good trunk color. Seeing how this is coming through. Yeah. Like that. That is a-okay. We'll get in there. This is a pretty light color. That's sort of watery. So I'm thinking that it's gonna require 2 coats of this paint. Fairly thin color here. If you can see how that's going to go on, it's not a super thick paint, so I want to do it twice. If you got a 3D printer at home, this could be a fun little activity to do with family. Like, you could get some 5-minute epoxy and help me will make their own little Christmas tree ornaments and get some paints out. If I had kids, this would be something I do with them. My sisters and brother and I, when growing up, we would do this kind of stuff at my mom's house. Just make things. Gingerbread houses still are a big thing in the family. We love making a gingerbread house. Most of us don't really care about eating the gingerbread house. I'm personally not a huge fan of gingerbread. But making a gingerbread house? Oh, that was always a lot of fun. Okay. I'm gonna let that dry for a minute. And move on to this one. And start globbing on some paint. There we are. And there's nothing like painting to make a huge mess at your kitchen table. So there's also that. Because this is kind of a kitchen table project. You know, you throw down some, when I was growing up, it would have been newspaper. Really exists these days. Just get some paper bags from the grocery. That's probably the easiest thing to do these days. Just go to the grocery store, get paper bags. Because no one really has newspapers anymore. Okay. Pretty quick and dirty on that. That's still gonna be... There's gonna be a minute before that dries. So wash the brush out. Make sure that the paint doesn't dry in the brush. Don't want that to happen. Set that out. I'll dry that off. Okay. Well, that's probably dry. Yeah. No, that's coming off. The primer is fully set. It's wonderfully lopsided. It's not really straight on there. It's charming. Whenever I pick out a Christmas tree, I like the runt. I like the Charlie Browns. I don't know, they're always more fun to me than everything else. I like those. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Shake this up while we're waiting for those to dry. We'll start working on the green, because we gotta do 2 trees, and we gotta do one side then the other on there. I'm gonna cover up my brown. Got to do that. Okay. And I'm gonna save the green for these bases over here, the trees. I'm gonna save those until that's dry and I can do another coat. That way I don't have to be careful with that. And I shook this up. I think it needs a little bit more We'll shake it more. Well, there are quite a few users in chat. How many of them are real? That's always the hard part to tell on Twitch these days. Elysian, Candius. Guessing another TV viewer is probably not real. I have this too. Ladybug X3. Cax Ips06. Who 128. I know one of you is real. I know that one of you is an actual person. I don't know about the rest of you though. This paint is going on very nicely like this. So hello to all of you who are real, which I think is one. Maybe. Oh, I'm trying to be so ginger with it. I'm wearing gloves for this exact purpose. Alright. Don't forget to get all the little pokey bits in here. Yes, continuing to wear gloves was a very good choice, because then I don't have to worry about getting green paint all over my hands, which definitely would be 100%. Alright, there's one down. And let's do smaller. There we go. Brushing that on. Come on, get it there. Oh, no. There is a stubborn spot. I'm gonna a little too much paint in there. And that will be, yeah, that fixes that problem. Getting all of the little nooks and crannies in this. Just going around each of the prongs. There we go. Oh, is that strong? I'm liking that color. I like that. I don't think that we'll need to do a second coat on these, which is nice. Okay. Small piece. It's got a couple of divots in this piece, so I'm gonna get in here and just fill in with a little bit more paint. Otherwise would. Okay. These little pieces are actually hard. I'm just gonna get the bottom in here. I'll probably come back to bite me. I'll probably stick to paper, but there's already so much on it. Right? Oop. Wondering if I can stand it on 2 of its prongs. Oh, I can. I'm happy about that. Alright. I don't know if you can hear all that, but my dog just lost her damn mind upstairs, and she is barking up a storm. I think that might be my dad coming over for Christmas Eve dinner. We hadn't really agreed on a time that he'd show up today. My dad's currently building a house, so a lot of like his availability is just how much can I get done today, because I'd like to get that done. And he's building his own house. He's not building a house for someone else. He is building his own house, mostly by himself, which is incredibly impressive. This is the third house that he's built. The first one he had some help from his family in, but this one he has less help, because the first one he built was more than 30 years ago now, before I was born. And then the second one that he built was pretty much just him. I helped very modestly. This one is really just all him. And it never ceases to amaze me that he can do that. He can just build a house. Here I am, like, gluing together a Christmas tree, a little epoxy, and then delicately painting things. Like, I feel like there's a massive skill gap there. Alright. Well, this is gonna be pretty nice. This is easier. I was thinking I would probably have to do 2 coats with this, but it really goes on nicely the first time. And when it dries, this is the color when it dries. It doesn't come through quite. It looks more gray through the camera, but it's this really nice dark foresty green. And as I go along, I'm not going to stop with just the green on these. I'm going to put little decorations on them. I'm going to do little, like, golds and reds and blues and stuff to make little ornaments on the tip. And decorate these suckers. I'll probably put ornament hooks on them. And when I'm done, like I said, and put this up on YouTube, probably be a few days before it goes up on YouTube, I will put a link to the model, like I always do, when we're painting models that we get for our 3D printers. Every model that we use is either individually purchased. We have a couple of models that are like by WizKids, which make pretty good models, by the way. If you're looking to get into model painting, WizKids makes a pretty darn affordable series of models, and you can start painting those, and they're a very good way to learn how to do the kind of delicate painting that you need for more figure-based stuff. There's a big difference between painting a figure like I was at the start of this, waiting for these to finish with Commander Sol-ath. Figure painting can be very, very time-consuming and delicate, and then scenery painting can be a lot more just planning the color that you want, and then you kind of slather a lot of it on. And there's a little less delicacy through a lot of it. But with figure painting, you need to have some real patience with it. You just do. So if you're looking to learn, WizKids is pretty good. But more often than not, we only have a couple of WizKids models. Because we are fortunate enough to have 3D printers, we get a lot of our models through Thingiverse, and they are licensed under Creative Commons. That's where most of our stuff comes from. And we really appreciate all the people that are such good model makers. I've tried doing a bit of model making myself, but I'm just not. I suppose if I put more time into it, I could probably learn to really do some stuff and be a much better model maker, but I've already got enough things going on in my life. Trying to make a streaming channel, turn that into a real business, painting, just designing the D&D campaign that we run and broadcast every week. Any DMs out there will know what I'm talking about. I produce 3 to 4 hours worth of content for my players every single week and plan that out. And right now they are in a massive, well, I could call it a dungeon, but that doesn't really capture what it is, because it's an entire island. It's the ruins of an ancient city, and they're trying to access deeper and deeper secrets of this city and catch up with a foe they are pursuing. And I have to have most everything for that plan before they even set foot in there, so that once they go in, they're actually experiencing the dungeon. It takes a lot of time. I don't know if I'll ever get good at model designing. I designed a couple of very simple things. I made some pegboards for status effect rings. A lot of people may be familiar with these status effect rings that you can get. They're all over Etsy, and even Amazon has some. They're just these acrylic rings that have like prone or hideous laughter, for Tasha's hideous laughter, written on them, and then you just drop them around a figure or a model, whatever you're using, and it is a nice way on the field to signify they have a status effect. It reminds the players, it reminds the DM what it is, and we have a whole bunch of them. So instead of reaching into a bin, I made just a simple pegboard that I could be printed on. You printed out the pegboard, and then you just drop your rings of a certain type around it. I've got 4 of them. And I designed the bases for our trees. I think we've shown the trees. I'll grab one, actually, so you can all see it. My modest design capabilities. So that base right here, that is not what comes with these trees. These are designed for model train sets, and the actual bases are much smaller. So I made these pegs for the trees to sit in. And you can see they have a base here, and they just get epoxied in with, they have a little peg down at the bottom, and we epoxy them in. So I designed those. Those are the two things that I've designed that are actually useful. But 3D modeling, it's a real bugger. That is tough to do. All the respect in the world to 3D model makers, whether they're technical pieces or things like designing, just like designing a beholder. Oh boy. If you work, especially if you work in like an all digital medium, that's so challenging to me. Just to be able to manipulate those key pieces of a model in the way that you need them to be manipulated. Looks so hard. All the respect in the world. People who do that. If you ever want to get a sense for what fully digital 3D model makers do, download a free program. It's called Blender. Actually what a lot of them use. And just try making a model. It is challenging and very time consuming. Yeah, this is looking better with 2 coats. And I don't think I got all the primer that I should have on here, but the can was almost out. So you can see, I don't know how well it shows up on the camera here. You can see down at the bottom of that trunk, there's some little black lines coming through, and those are the printer lines. And unfortunately, they just are showing through because they didn't get primed well enough. So the paint isn't adhering into those little crevices. That's okay though. This does look better with a second coat on it, even if it's not perfectly primed. And, you know, these are just for fun. They're not part of the show elements or anything like that. They don't need to be pristine. This one seems to go in a little bit smoother than the other tree, at least on that little corner. So I think that got a better priming than the first one. After working with spray-on primer and can primer is much quicker, dries faster, and is much more wasteful. But you don't need to have an airbrush to use it. But if you can get yourself an airbrush, and we have an old one, probably 15, 20 years old, but if you can spring for an airbrush to prime pieces with, I think it's better. You get so much more mileage out of your priming paint. There's no accelerant in there, so that is better for the environment to not use accelerant. Because the airbrush, the pump, is pushing that out. Okay, so those trunks are drying for a minute. So while they are drying, I'm going to flip over the pieces that didn't get painted yet. The top sides are dry. I did get the smaller two, so they're done. You couldn't really avoid doing them, as I found out. Okay. And I'm going to open the green back up. We'll paint these surfaces, and then by the time these are done, these should be dry, and I'll be able to do the green here. Then, I think we can probably start to glue these pieces in, because we will have to glue. So there's a process to this. These are fun, cute little things, but they're not short. So like I said, if you are someone who's got some kids and a 3D printer, these would be a fun project for them to do on Christmas time or a New Year's activity, even anytime in the winter. They can be ornaments because they have this little fisheye hole here. So if you get them in before Christmas, you can hang them on the tree. This would be a fun project, assuming that you can help them with some 5-minute epoxy, or I think like hot glue might work. These aren't really super critical pieces, so I think you could probably get away with a hot glue gun. Alright. Now, you might be saying to yourself, Alexis, no one's going to see the underside of these trees. Like, that's really unlikely that anyone's going to take a look at the bottom of these tree layers. Why would anyone go and look that closely at these things? You don't need to paint the other underside of them. And to that I would say, yes, but I'll know. I'll know. There we are. And in general, I'm the kind of person that always says, paint the surfaces that you think no one's going to see on your model, because someone will probably look. Or later on, and let's be honest, if you're a model painter, it's a pretty good chance that you're the kind of person who would be bothered by, yes, but I'll know, just like me. Not 100% guaranteed, just I'm saying there's a good chance that the I'll know that it's not done will bug you. My father-in-law, who is on the show regularly, the painting show, and always on the D&D show, he has collected many models over the years. Looking at quite a few of them right now, there's a model of the original, well, not the original, it is the Uss Enterprise from Star Trek. It's the refit model, so that is the model that you see in Star Trek the Motion Picture and Star Trek II Wrath of Khan, before it is... Oh, and... Yes, and actually Star Trek III Search for Spock. We have a model of that. I'm looking at that right now. There's also a model that I think one day I might actually put together here on the stream. even though it has nothing to do with D&D miniature painting. It's a model of an F-14 Tomcat. And when I was growing up, I loved planes. Oh my god, I love planes. I played every flight simulator that I could. All I had was, a joystick. I didn't have like the simulator set up with pedals for the flaps and everything like that. Didn't have those. But I loved planes, and I loved the F-14 Tomcat because its wings moved. It could move its wings. And I could swoop them back. It's called a delta wing. And when I was doing that, it could achieve supersonic speeds, or could move them into attack wing and be much more agile and maneuverable. And I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. So I've got a model of that sitting over there. It was actually given to me by my father-in-law, and I might paint that on stream and put it together. It's a glued together kind of model, not a I don't want to say it. Not a snap type. That's the word. It's not a snap type model. And it'd be cool just to get super, super detailed with all the paint on that. That'd be fun. Is that looking dry? It's looking pretty dry. I think dry enough. Dry enough for our purposes. There we go. Painting away. I'm gonna move those off while they dry, so I can paint right here. And I know this is a very awkward sitting pose, but it is actually the most comfortable way to sit on these stools. So I may watch that. And stream that. Stream painting the F-14 Tomcat. Looks like we got someone new in here. Airboss. Welcome, Airboss. Nice to see you. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you. We're painting Christmas trees. Because, we can. It's fun. Something kind of themed to the holiday when this is being recorded and broadcast, because this will go up on YouTube later. It is Christmas Eve, so a Christmas themed painting episode seemed appropriate. I'm going to be making a bunch of cookies tonight. Tons and tons and tons and tons of cookies. I pre-made some dough already. I have... I got a little green on there. It's not a big deal. I'm going to show my painting sim. You can see the green on the trunk. See a little splash of green. I have in the fridge right now, I have sugar cookie dough chilling. I have Pecan Log dough chilling. I think most people are familiar with sugar cookies. I haven't met too many people that don't know what a sugar cookie is. I've met a couple people who have never had one. But Pecan Log is one that a lot of people, when I tell them what it is, they're just like, what? So a Pecan Log is a mostly butter dough, and you just take butter, flour, sugar, and diced up pecans, as well as a little vanilla in there, and you let that dough chill after mixing it. And then once you've got that, and you've chilled it for a while, you roll them into logs that are, well, conveniently, they're about as thick as one of these bottles. So, and you only make them about as long as your finger. Is a pretty good measurement. Like go to like your index finger, and then you bake them, and they're just super pillowy, soft, melt in your mouth because there's a lot of butter. They're very good. So I got that dough chilling. I will also be making, because we are doing a Christmas breakfast tomorrow instead of a Christmas dinner with my mom. My parents are divorced, so tonight we celebrate with my dad, and tomorrow we will be celebrating with my mom. So tomorrow we're having Christmas breakfast with my mom and all my siblings from that part of my family. I'm going to be making some cinnamon rolls for that, and I already have some meringues made. I'll probably be making some more later. I also have butter spritzes that I'm going to be making tonight. You don't prepare the dough for that ahead of time. So I'll be making those. And I also have ready to go. Again, I've been practicing with these. There is a Czech dessert, and say Czech, I mean Czech Republic, formerly known as Czechoslovakia, and it is a Czech dessert that is almost always mistranslated into English, because if we do the translation, it's a bit grim, and you'll see what I mean. It is a dessert that I've always heard pronounced, but I don't speak Czech. I don't know if it is 100% how you say that. So if anyone out there wants to correct me and like show me a pronunciation video or something, please do. These are one of my favorite things. There's a dessert called rakvičky. And rakvičky are a type of meringue using, instead of egg whites like a traditional meringue, they use egg yolk mixed with a whole bunch of powdered sugar as the primary binder, and you bake them 375 for just a couple minutes until they rise up from these molds that you make them in. And the molds you make them in are, I think of, if you know what an eclair is, kind of, it's like a tube sort of donut. If you take like an eclair and now make it square, you know, the rectangular molds, and the meringue-like batter that you put in there rises up, and it actually gets cooked on the top and creates a lid, and then the sides cook and hold that top up, and then you pull it out of the hot oven and you put it into a slightly cooler oven, and the interior of it cools off, falls. But because the top has hardened and the sides have hardened, that stays there. And the interior drops down and just hardens on the bed of this mold. And you actually have a cavity in this cookie. And it's a very kind of savory, sweet flavor because it's egg yolk, not egg white. So there's a lot of savory elements to it. And it's a super unique cookie. Now, I mentioned why these always get mistranslated into English. Because kvichki means little coffin. Little coffin. I have... my mother-in-law actually has a Czech cookbook. And it's full of Czech recipes. And there are a lot of really delicious Czech recipes. Especially desserts. Oh my god. So, if you want to try something new ever, find yourself a Czech cookbook. There's so much good food to eat. But they are often translated as little flower boxes, not little coffins. I don't know why the descriptor little coffins was chosen over other perhaps equally appropriate, equally apt names. I totally get the description. I get the description of calling them little coffins because they very much are like little coffins. Just naming a dessert that over something like little boxes, little flower boxes, something like that. I can't explain what the rationale was there. But it always gets mistranslated when put into print. And I don't think that's likely to change. Unless they become very, very popular. And I'm not sure that they will. They are... Oh boy, believe me, they are notoriously tricky to make. I have made two batches, and I'm actually quite a good baker. I'm gonna, do a little bit of... I'm not a very prideful person, but I am prideful about my baking. I am a very good baker. So when we used to have these rokvichki at our family Christmas celebration on my mom's side, because we knew some Czech bakers in the area, and we all fell in love with them. And we used to have those. It was it was like everyone's favorite. We all loved getting the little rokvichki. But none of us knew how to make it, and my family is very much a we'll make it ourselves sort of family. We have a lot of the, oh yeah, we'll just do it ourselves. We can figure that out. But we really had no idea how to make these things. And it's been about 10 years since we had them. So this year, when I was recovering from my surgery last fall, I was talking about these cookies, and that's when my mother-in-law said, oh hey, I have a Czech cookbook. I wonder if they're in there. So I went and looked, and sure enough, there they were. And I have been on a quest to make these, and it is really hard. You can't find the proper forms for the cookies anywhere in the US. I looked and looked and looked, and I could never find a proper Kvichki form here in the States for sale. And it actually took a family member who lives in Germany going to a Czech baking store in Germany and getting these molds and then bringing them back when they visited this summer. I was totally geeked. There are versions of the recipe that you can make with no form, but they are not the traditional way it's done. I have tried them. They turn out almost identical. I'm not trashing those recipes at all. But I want to try to make them, the way that they're supposed to be made. And my family knows that if you want something to be baked, give Lexi a call. She will bake it for you. And I set about this task of trying to figure out, okay, how the hell do you make these things? And they are so hard. So they're not an endeavor that you should take lightly if you would try to make some of these. But I do think they are an endeavor worth taking, because they are super tasty. Now, I have the trees all painted. We have 2 trees, and they come together with this bottom ring, which is now glued. This is a glued together piece here. And then this piece slides on. Then this, and then they keep getting smaller. And they slide right on. Now, they kind of were sliding around. I'm sorry, sliding around, not sliding around. They were kind of sliding around before. So I want to see what happens now that we've glued them, and there's a little bit of an epoxy jam here. Push that down. There we go. Scraping the tree a little bit. That is A-okay. I'd much rather scrape the tree. At least that one's holding together fairly well without any glue. That's a nice surprise. So I don't have to glue. I don't really want to. And before I push that down, I'm going to flip it to the right side. Because when you do a 3D print, there's a bottom and a top of the print. And the bottom has more fine lines to it than the top. Right. There we go. Oh, yes. These together. Looks like we have a couple new people here watching, although Twitch isn't counting everyone. They never do. Well, Airbez and Painfulest. I'm sorry to hear that that's Painfulest. Unless you like that. Then congratulations. I was almost gonna do the thing I said I'm trying to avoid. There we go. And then the final touch, little guy up here at the top. Voila! Look at that. Look at this. That's really cute. I think this one probably could go down a little further, but like I said, I globbed on a whole lot of epoxy to really hold this all together, so it's not. And they don't want to move very much either. I might glue the top. Yeah, I think I'm going to glue the tops of these. I'm going to get the other ones set in here. That's set correctly. Slide that down. A little pressure. There we go. Okay. Seems to be holding pretty well. Slide this one in. Little pressure. Compress that down. There we go. Perfect. Second to last one. Is that the right? Yeah, it's the right side. Okay, good. Really sure. The second to last layer, in the middle layer, feel a little far apart on this, where they just kind of naturally wind up on the model. Feel slightly far apart. Not that big a deal, though. Really, pretty inconsequential thing. Okay. So now we have our two trees. They are put together. There we go. And I'm going to mix up some more epoxy and also have some more coffee. Coffee is a source of life. If anyone is wondering, where did we come from? It was a cup of coffee. I think it was a cup of coffee. And I am mixing the epoxy and the hardener together again. So we need a little more glue. But we don't need a ton. We really don't need a lot of glue here, because it's not that big of a piece. And oh, there it is. Slotted it under here. I was looking for some more isopropyl alcohol because it dried out. Little solvent and on my fingies. So get that off of there. Now, gonna mix the epoxy and the hardener together, and then we have 5 minutes to apply it. Sometimes that can be a little bit of a time crunch. Not here. Not right now. This is not super critical. Alright. Don't want to do as much globbing this time. So I'm going to be trying to do this a little bit more delicately. I don't know if y'all can hear that up there, but that is the sound of Nicole vacuuming on the main floor. I mean, the epoxy is visible. There's not much I can do about that, but you know what I can do? Just sort of blend it in a bit. Instead of just having a little spot, I can get it all over the surface of the paint here. Yeah, that's some good thinking. And then it will blend in a little bit more and won't look quite as obvious. Okay. Yeah, alright. That'll do. It'll take just a few minutes to dry. I'm just going to set that out of the way. And then we're going to go do that one more time. I'm really happy with how these are turning out. I'm really liking it. I wasn't 100% how these would come out. Yeah, it was an idea that we had, I think, Wednesday or Thursday. So, like, yesterday, the day before. Yeah. See if there's a Christmas tree model that we can paint. That'd be fun. And then there was. And this isn't sitting perfectly even on here. I don't know if the other one is either. No, it's not sitting perfectly even, but like I said earlier in the stream, I like runty trees. I like trees that they're kind of messy. They're the ignored trees. I like them. Okay. Those are gluing. It'll take 5 minutes for those to set. But in the meantime, we can move them around. It's not going to disturb them to be moved a little bit. And now I need to add decorations to these. So, what do I have to work with? I got some bright brass. I think that's going to be pretty good. I think some bright brass. That's going to be a winner. Polished gold could be another one. I need some red, like some bright red. Scarlet red. That's too dark. I don't know how that one comes out. That is too dark of a color. Flat red. I'm gonna take a little shake of this, dab that out. This might be the right color for this. Might be the right choice. Oh, stuck there. Squeaking. Ooh, I'm liking this as an idea. In theory, I like this. I'm gonna paint a little splotch. Let's see how that dries. Clean the brush out. Don't need the red. And I know how this one turns. I don't know how the turquoise turns out. And it's pretty cool, so I'm definitely going to use that. Yes. This red's a winner. So we're going to have some red. We have some red. We've got some turquoise. And Nicole just came down here again, so I'm just asking your opinion for little ornaments, decorations. Should I go with the polished gold or the bright brass?
Polished gold.
Polished gold? Okay. And we've got these three colors. Should I do more?
No.
No?
Those are good.
Okay.
Your dad is here.
I figured. When Sophie lost her damn mind.
Yeah.
So, I'll be up when I finish these trees.
Mm-hmm.
When I finish these trees, I'll be done for the stream today.
Did you glue the top on there?
I did. These middle layers held together fairly well. There's a fair bit of a gap between this layer and this, and none of them ended up fitting together like perfectly square. But
like most trees.
Yeah, but the thing that I'm happy about, and you know this, I've said this a couple times, I love a runty tree.
I know you do. Every tree you get, you want.
I know.
Runty.
We go Christmas tree hunting every year, usually a day or two after Thanksgiving, and I am always the one advocating for the runt, and then no one else likes their runts. So what usually happens is we get a tree that everyone else likes, and I'm like, it's a nice tree. And then we get a small runty tree for me, and it turned into getting a live tree.
Mm-hmm.
So for the past couple of years now, we've actually had a live tree. And that's what I grew up with as a tradition, so I'm happy about that. Well, I'm going to finish these. I have my colors here, and I'll be up when I'm done. Okay. Oh, I forgot to shake that. Shaking. Always shake your paints. Maybe a little bit better. Looks like it needs some more shaking. Bartender. With the world's smallest drink for mice. What is this? Drink for ants? That's better. That's better. And I'm gonna put a second. Might need more. We'll see. We will see. Mixing it up because it wasn't fully mixed when I dropped it. I should have mixed it a little bit more. Okay. And then all we're gonna do is just pick some tips on the tree here. Nothing complex or like measured about this. And you know, I'm gonna use a bigger brush. I thought that's the brush size I wanted. Nope. Too small. Too small. I'm gonna get a bigger brush. Ah, there. This one will do nicely. Yeah, that's better. Get a little on the top one here. And how about there? And maybe a little blue. A little blue there. And then a little more blue there. Oh yeah, the turquoise. The turquoise color from Viejo has a real nice sort of iridescent quality to it. I like it. Just got some shimmery stuff. I don't want to paint the top yet because the epoxy is still curing. So I'm going to leave that alone. There we go. Okay. Clean the brush out so that paint doesn't dry in there. When you're working with small amounts of paint, you have to clean your brushes fairly regularly, just with water, so the paint doesn't dry and the bristles start globbing up. It can be really annoying. All right, this tree number 2. Let's do this one. And then we'll do that one. Pretty nicely spaced out. And how about, oh, we got one here. And one here. And then one over here. I'll get a little bit more. And see if we have anyone else joining us. Doesn't look like anyone new right now. Thank you all for sticking with me. Been nice to have a little company. Well, make some Christmas trees. I like it. There and there. I think this needs a little bit more. That needs one more there. There we go. realized as I've been painting these, they all have, each layer, I think, might be the identical cut and just scaled down. So they all have the same number. So this one is much more haphazard. This one is going to be much more orderly of a tree. Okay, and the turquoise. Getting that out of the brush. You want to come in? Yeah, you can come in. Come on around. You can say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Keep coming, you're not even in frame right now. Everyone, this is my dad. His name's Randy. He's over here. We always do a Christmas Eve celebration together. So, when I'm done painting these, I'm going to go up and make a whole bunch of cookies. I've been going for a couple hours. Printed these out today. And these are little 3D printed Christmas trees.
Nice.
So they actually come in kind of a puzzle, not very complicated one, mind you, where the center trunk is two pieces they slot together, and then all of these pieces slide on, getting ever smaller. So I took some epoxy, glued the center pieces together, glued the bottom piece, glued the top piece, and now I'm just doing a little decoration with ornaments. With just different colors of paint.
How long does that take the printer to make one of those?
This particular model took about 2.5 hours. The timer count on those is off by a bit. Our printer has a looser concept of time than others. So you never know exactly how long it takes without getting out a stopwatch. But that says about 2.5 hours. I think it was about 2:45. Maybe a little closer to 3 hours to print these out. There's a lot of material over the surface that it's got to print out. So even though there's about as much material here as in one of these guys, these take a little bit less time just because of the nature of how it prints. There's a lot more travel distance over the flat area for the head to move as it prints out, whereas these are much more compact, so the head is almost always printing, and there's wasted time with models like this. So they take a little while. And they're not too bad. I like it. So now I'm just decorating the tips of the tree. And the neat thing about these is that they have a fisheye hole up at the top there. So you can actually make these your own ornaments on a Christmas tree when you're done with them. It's fitting that you showed up while I'm still streaming, because I was telling them when I was picking out paints and I was debating whether to use this one here, which is the flat green. Oh no, it was this one. It was the dark green 2. You know what that color reminds me of?
I don't know what. MSU?
Nope. Little Green Army Men.
Oh, yeah.
So I was telling everyone about the game that you and your brother played, and that you taught to my brother and I, with the Little Green Army Men and the wadded up balls of paper.
Oh, yeah.
And the gradual escalation in securing the army men into the carpet so that it was impossible to knock them down.
Yeah.
We eventually had to house rule that you couldn't put them in the fibers of the carpet because it would never be knocked down.
You have a good memory.
We had a lot of fun playing that game together, the three of us. Spread out. We would pick different rooms of the house. And
Yeah, I wonder where all those army men went.
I don't know.
Chewed up by a dog
Did
that I know
did Casey? But my old dog's name was Casey, and she was a very fun, very fiercely independent dog. I think that's a fair assessment of her.
of. True.
Did she chew them all up?
Well, she had, she went through a chewing phase.
She did. Right after we got her, and we adopted her September 10th, 2001.
Yep.
It's an easy day to remember.
Easy to remember that one.
We picked her up on September 10th, 2001, and for, I want to say the first maybe the first year that we had her, and she's about a year and a half, we figured, when we adopted her.
Yeah, about a year.
Yeah. She really did like to chew things. She chewed up a seatbelt, I remember, in the Jeep. Pretty darn good one time. Not all the way through. Like, you could still technically use it. But
Yeah.
she did a number on it. That does make sense. I think it was like the ones with the radio. They had a little radio pack. They were the least stable of all the army men.
Okay.
I feel like that was the case. There was my brother and I had so many strategies. Your strategy was whip the little ball as hard as you could, and you were much
Speed.
Yeah.
Velocity.
Speed and power were your choices, and I dare say that they were generally more successful than what my brother and I did. We had all sorts of strategies, but you have a wicked fastball. The one that neither my brother nor I possess. So this is
Did the computer make this one too?
not ours, but a computer did.
Did it?
That is the figure of one of the non-player characters, meaning one of the characters that I portray within our D&D campaign. His name is Commander Sol-ath. And he's been an ongoing little project. He's a fire ganassi, which means that he's this humanoid individual, but is imbued with the power of the fire dimension and can channel fire-related abilities.
Mm-hmm.
His story is that he is a commander within the large mercenary company, the Company of Blades. And years ago, he'd lost his leg in combat, so one of his legs is a steam-powered mechanical leg, because as a fire ganassi, he can create his own heat, and that gives him the ability to operate his leg.
I see.
And it's got all sorts of special abilities that I don't want to reveal because we'll see if our players ever run into them one day. They might. Alright. How do you think my little ornamentations are coming along?
They look good. Just a arbitrary process you got going there, or do you have a plan of some sort? Color schemes and
This tree is basically arbitrary. This was the tree I was doing second. And when I started to do the tree the second time, I realized, as I was doing it, that each layer of the greens, or the branches, is the same. They're all the same shape, just scaled differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized that as I was going through, and then the second one became much more patterned, planned, thoroughly thought about. So this has a plan. This one is just whatever. Yeah. But now I'm on to my final color.
Latex? Water-based, or are they oil?
The paints,
Mm-hmm.
these are mostly acrylic. Most of the paints that we use here are acrylic paints. There are some that are not. There are some thinner ones. There are some very old ones, which are oil-based. But the modern day ones, they are all acrylic. And that's why it's kind of useful to wear a glove. We don't always wear a glove. That's what this little base is for. So I can have him held there, and then
Sticky.
It's a sticky tack,
Mm-hmm.
and I can use my thumb to just rotate him around.
Neat.
It's got a little handle, so then you don't mess up your hands.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and now for the red, and this is a little bit thinner paint. So we use two different brands. One is Tamiya, and they are the ones that come in the larger glass bottles, like the one I'm using right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Tamiya is a Japanese company. They mostly do paints and paint colors for sort of military models. That's where their kind of bread and butter and colors are. But they do other colors too. You can get, purples and pinks and stuff. And then the other one that we use is a company called Viejo. And they are more fantasy colors, so they have a lot more variation and a whole bunch of different ones.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that and the way that they're applied, they tend to be a little bit thicker. And the Tamiyas tend to be a little bit more watery. Both are really, really good. And the Tamiya is typically used for a lot of our scenery painting. So stuff like these, all of our tiles that we use. We do most of that in Tamiya paints because they spread really well.
Is all the paints that you have, or do you have more?
This is all the paints that we have right now. We need to order a whole bunch. So we'll probably be doing that after the new year, stocking up on a bunch more paints. Because we're a little bit low right now. We need a whole bunch more grays. We're going to need some more scarlet red. One of our major... This guy right here. It's the Viejo Scarlet Red.
Mm-hmm.
One of our major dungeon themes is all in that. Well, that looks pretty nice.
I agree. Is there a printer going, like making that noise?
Yep, the little whirring that you hear in the background.
Yeah.
Those printers each have a little circuit board in them, and a little fan just keeps them going. And
So they're not making anything right now.
not right now. But if you would like, I can start a print, and you can see what that's like. I don't know if you've ever seen the printers in
Well,
action.
you've shown me before. Probably a year ago.
Yeah, I think you were able to come over one time just before the pandemic set in when we had it.
Right. What were you making?
A long time ago now. Like 2 years ago.
I can't remember what it was.
It was probably a dungeon tile piece, just based on how many we have of those. And those were among the first things that we were printing. Before we started to make a show or anything, we just got a the very first printer we just got for fun. The second one we got because, you know, once we started to make these for the show, then we needed to up how much we could produce. One printer was not able to print it fast enough, and we had to get a second one. Well, if you need, take a look in that bucket, and you can see that's not even the whole set.
Back here.
Yep. And we are currently in the middle of painting those. They're all primed, but now they need to be painted.
These are primed?
Yep, they're primed. You can get primer in just about any of the kind of grayscale colors.
How do you apply the paint, the primer paint? Is it an aerosol? Or?
Well, there's two options. We had, when we first started doing this, used aerosolized primer cans, but on the scale that we're doing these, you can see how many there are.
Mm-hmm.
We have found that that is just not economical. It costs about 4 or 5 times more just in pure priming spray to pennies cost to use an aerosolized can. So we actually have an airbrush that we use. It's a small model airbrush, and it mixes it. Well, you have to have an airbrush paint because they're more watery than these kind of things. So you pour those into a little bottle, and then it pushes them up and sprays them out. It's way more economical to do all of these with an airbrush that way.
Is it?
Yep. The hard part is that the cheapest filament that we have most of the time, ones that we can find, is the black filament. And we have a black primer because that's also the cheapest. So you have to pay very close attention as you're priming to know if you really did get that surface.
Yeah, I bet.
It doesn't always show up so well. Alright, I'm gonna clean this cap off. It always gets really gross. And then it ends up globbing. I want to do just... I think I might even be able to do this just with the reservoir here. Finishing touch on the tree is paint. Make a little fisheye hole here. A little silver. Because I just feel like that should be silver. Makes it a little bit prettier than just unfinished, unpainted stuff. It's not the prettiest paint job I've ever done, but that'll do. And there. That. Almost got everything here. There we are. No. It's got like a little star on the top.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. 2 finished Christmas trees. I am very pleased with how these came out.
I must say they're beautiful.
Well, thank you. This is the patterned one that I'm holding, so I'm going to show this off to everybody. Here, see. There we go. Get a nice focus on that. They're pretty fun. I'll take some pictures of these. We'll post it on our Instagram later. And in the YouTube comments, in the YouTube description, I'll have a link to these models. They were fun to build, fun to play around with, easy to paint. If you want to try these yourselves sometime, because I actually think, tell me if I'm crazy, I think these would be a really fun project for kids. With someone to help glue together. I think kids could have a blast doing stuff like this. I would have loved doing that growing up. I mean, amazing things that we can just print off toys now, you know?
Definitely. We didn't have that a long time ago.
No. So if you want to try these at home, I will have links in the YouTube description. They're a lot of fun. I had a good time. Have some glue ready. I think you could get away with a hot glue gun if you don't want to get epoxy out, because not everyone loves using epoxy, understandably so. And these are fun. Thank you everyone for joining us. We are not broadcasting on the 26th, our usual show, because it's the day after Christmas. We're going to be doing stuff. A lot of other people are going to be doing stuff, so we won't be live on this Sunday with our usual stream. We might hop on, do a short video game streaming session. Not sure about that. But we won't have a new episode of the show until after the new year. Thank you again for everyone who joined us. We had fun today. I liked this one. That was a fun, easy, one episode project. Merry Christmas if you celebrate it. Happy New Year to everyone if you miss us before the new year. And see you guys later.